welcome to SportsOnChicago.com and Chicagoland Sports Radio's presentation of the Playing It Safe Symposium for concussions here at Northwestern Memorial Hospital, downtown Chicago. Dr. Pete Ferreri here with you. We're going to have a wonderful day talking to a lot of different people, speaking with how to deal with concussions from the high school through collegiate and the professional level. Some representatives from the Blackhawks, some representatives from the Bears, some representatives from U.S. athletics, soccer, and volleyball. We will talk to them all today. Also have an opportunity to talk to NFL legend and Hall of Famer Dan Hampton in regards to his history of concussions and how it's affecting the whole sports world and the changes that are going to be implemented after today's symposium. Stay tuned for more information coming through here on SportsOnChicago.com and ChicagolandSportsRadio.com, part of the WISC radio network. What's it like to be part of something as important as a concussion symposium?
It's nice. It's a real privilege. I'm glad we're getting the word out to our communities, to coaches, to administrators, that we're just starting to learn about concussions in terms of long-term effects and erring on the side of safety with all our athletes in all sports. So being part of this is a big step towards that and in educating our communities and sort of keeping our athletes safe.
There's just no question that there's risk, and there's risk with anything. There's risk with walking across the street and playing hockey or playing gymnastics or whatever you're going to do. So there's risk in football, and I think we all realize that. So I think if your kid wants to play football, have them play football. But as a parent, I think it makes sense, and it's your responsibility to be educated about this and be an advocate and a defender of your kid. If no one else is going to do it, you have to step forward and know what the risks are and know some of these signs and symptoms and be proactive and be a part of their sports career.
The sports that we think about for being collision sports, football, hockey, those are going to have their head injuries, but other sports, soccer, volleyball, those things have head impact too. You know, if you get these high-level volleyball players serving the ball at 70 miles per hour, hitting the ball from the at the net at 100 miles an hour. Hitting someone in the head after that is going to cause an injury. And two guys diving for a ball or two women diving for a ball and impacting themselves or hitting the post, those things are always going to be there. And in any sport, anytime people are competing, there's going to be the possibility that people fall, hit the ground, hit someone, another athlete. So there's going to be concussions in every sport, and our exposure rate, our per concussion exposure rate, is higher in a lot of sports that we don't necessarily anticipate. Women's soccer, volleyball, all of those things have the risk.
If you just listen to the games, when there is an illegal hit made, if I go back 10 years, I mean, there were roars of the crowd. It was like you're at a gladiator event. There's silence. You know, when somebody goes down after a helmet-to-helmet horrendous impact, it is dead quiet, not knowing whether that player's dead or alive at that moment. Both groups of fans are affected by that, and I think it's emblematic of the fact that public awareness has really hit the door on this.
One of our primary goals when we took this position was to help change the culture. We in sports, as all of us who have played sports, historically, you play through pain. That's part of some of the great life lessons you learn on the field that the parents and teachers can't really impart to young people. But we want to make sure that they're aware that there's a difference between an injury to an extremity and an injury to the brain, which is what a concussion is.
I'd just like to welcome you all to Northwestern. Thank you. I'm going to talk to you a little bit today about concussion management in sports medicine. And primarily we're going to talk about some of the signs and symptoms and what you can do to help prevent this.
Well, I'm a parent of one child and another one on the way, and clearly I think we all want what's in the best interest for our kids. And I think the best intentioned parents as well, sometimes they focus on the sports so much and they don't want to disappoint the child or the high school athlete or even the collegiate athlete. And I can't tell you the number of difficult discussions I've had. And what is always surprising to me is that the parents often will resist any type of evaluation. They want their child to be normal and healthy. Not everyone, but you know, it happens more than you would think.
There's a mechanism in place for that student athlete to return to that contest. You know, so don't fear the fact, and you're not making any kind of diagnosis. You're just responding to a given set of facts that you see before you on a contest. So send the athlete out. If somebody's there to evaluate them and tells the coach, hey, this person's okay and can go back to play, then that's entirely the coach/school decision. But we would tell all our officials, and we'll continue to do so, to err on the side of caution and to be conservative. We know so much more about concussion, but there's still so much more we don't know. It's just not something that we want to take a chance with.
What does it take to educate the families and the athletes that don't play football about these risks and injuries?
Well, that's going to be the biggest part of this challenge. I think all we can do is try and put out a consistent message to our schools and make sure that they reinforce with all their coaches and all their athletes that this isn't isolated to just football. That you can get a concussion walking down the street in your own neighborhood, and so we've got to do a better job of making sure everybody's aware there's risk involved when you participate on your school's volleyball or track or whatever team it is, and you just need to make sure that if you do receive some kind of blow, you're letting somebody know if you're not feeling quite right.
For two reasons I'm involved. Number one is I'm a former NFL player, and number two is I'm a high school coach now. And in speaking in terms of the NFL, there's a lot of information that the medical community is releasing now about the studies with concussions, and unfortunately there's been numerous NFL players over time that have lost their lives or taken their lives, and it's been related to us that it might be because of concussions, and the autopsy they performed afterwards was this symptom brain disease that they call CTE. And so they found that in NFL players, after numerous years of contact, and you'll have to excuse all my medical terminology because I'm a football player, but they found that there's a buildup of protein in the brains of these NFL players, and it causes a syndrome called CTE, which is another brain disorder.
I think it's going to be so much at the line of scrimmage or in tackling, but it's going to be how you strike an offensive player that they deem as unprotected. Now that could be a receiver looking back at the quarterback. It could be a quarterback looking down the field while somebody comes up behind him. They're going to have to do that. Now, because the other contact, everything is, I think, is open season, and unless you get into that gray area where it's either a receiver or a coverage guy that doesn't see a blocking pattern develop where a guy comes out of nowhere and KOs him. Those are the unprotected situations where most concussions occur. The one thing that I remember is John Mackey. When I was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2002, it was a great time. And I went and I got to meet an awful lot of great people. People I'd been around the NFL a long time. But unfortunately, John Mackey didn't know where he was. John Mackey was basically led around by some of his teammates because he had basically third grade dementia, CTE, and he recently passed away about a month ago. And it was such a sad story. It was such a tragic story that this great athlete that's in the Hall of Fame, in the prime of his life, when he should be able to basically enjoy his life, had no idea where he was. So there are reasons why. Not only is this legislation timely, but it's necessary, but it should be embraced by each and every one of us in this room. Because if I, as the old school throwback Neanderthal football player, embraces it, then I don't see any reason why a 15-year-old kid would not do the same thing.